Oh boy, I'm already sweaty. Like, we just got here.
No, honestly, me as well. Maybe a jumpsuit was not wise.
I was also wearing a mask earlier, so like all of this area is very, moist.
Moist. I really enjoy that word. I feel like it needs more appreciation.
It's one of those words that like nobody likes, but no one's explicitly like, no! I feel like it's just a trigger word that no one is like actively.
Love the word moist. My voice.
Fun fact.
Love.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to this series that I haven't done in like almost a year. So, welcome to another episode of For Real Talk. I guess it's season 2. I took like a hiatus unnecessarily.
Season 2. The reprisal.
Yeah, I haven't done these in a while, and it's been not easy during this whole pandemic thing, but still doing it. Still want to make it happen. Today, I have my very good friend and the bestest person in the whole wide world. His name is Mikey Israel, and he's right here.
Hi. Thank you for having me, my dear Sarah.
Of course. I've been waiting for this for so long. We were in Legally Blonde together.
We were.
So if he looks familiar, he's from the Legally Blonde vlogs. He's from
God.
ACDA. I vlogged ACDA.
Fun.
2 years ago.
Oh my god, that was not 2 years ago.
Because last year, this past year was you guys went, and I didn't go because of In the Heights.
That's crazy.
But like, I don't know if it was 2 years ago. But it was the year before this year.
Yeah, I'd say yeah.
So 2 years ago.
Yeah.
2 years ago, ACDA. So let the people know who you are, who you is, and what you do.
So my name is Mikey. Well, I know Sarah through college. We both are theater/dancer, musical, spontaneous breaking into song and dance people.
We do that.
We do that. I'm first generation African American.
Yes.
My family's from Sierra Leone. Just that in and of itself is like, I don't know, culture.
Identity.
The identity.
Yeah.
I'm 20.
Leo. So I usually have a list of questions that I want to ask my friends for these types of videos, but I don't have one this time. I just want you to share what's on your heart. It could be about dance, musical theater, your upcoming Ailey audition. Oh my gosh, yeah. She's gonna go to Ailey.
Yes.
I'm saying that out there. It's gonna be on the internet. So watch out, Alvin Ailey, sir.
So good.
Mr. Master of Dance.
Master of Dance. You know how like there's like Lamone technique and there's like, you know, there's Graham and there's Denim, yeah. So he doesn't have his own technique, but he was definitely like one of the pioneers of utilizing modern technique and helping it reach like the public's eye. This time he was like Broadway dancer and like he was like all these things, but he wanted to really make dance less Eurocentric and more inclusive, really like telling of the Black experience, especially at that time. Like he was born in Texas, literally smack dab during like Jim Crow laws. He experienced like the apex of like segregation. He used that to create pieces like Revelations and like stuff like that that's like comes from his childhood and his own experience of being Black and also being queer in America. So I'm very just inspired by him. I mean, of course, I think any like little Black boy that dances that's gay is like, oh my god, Ailey.
Oh my god, Ailey.
I think he was really successful because he wanted that representation. He wanted people to see themselves in a setting that was taken seriously, was wide respected, you know, because it's one thing to say you're a dancer and then it never really makes it off of like your back porch. He's like, I want somewhere where people that look like me can dance and be taken seriously as performers. Yeah. And like have a serious audience that can like really ingest our craft and not necessarily look at it as, oh, that's so good for them, you know, like that's so good for their social status, like within the boundaries of that, but it's like looking outwardly and looking more introspectively and just appreciating the art and technique. So good job, Mr. Ailey.
Mr. Ailey, you did that.
You did that, sis.
I think that's really important. To me, representation means everything.
Absolutely.
To
Absolutely.
anyone, however you identify, and like whatever you were born into. I feel like seeing yourself on a mainstream media platform is huge.
Absolutely.
And if it's not there, then you make it. And I feel like that's important now, as much now than it was that someone's always saying, oh, somebody else is gonna make it happen, or it's happened once before, or you know, it was like X amount of years ago, and so how is this gonna affect us now?
My first time like interacting with professional dancers was when I was 11 and I was in 6th grade. I was living in Seattle, and members of the Ailey company, they were teaching like workshops to middle schools in our area. Nasha Thomas, who's like a long-standing member of the Ailey company and faculty, she was teaching these combos, and it was the first time being in the presence of professional dancers at all, let alone dancers that looked like me, you know, black dancers that really were passionate and serious about their craft. Because I mean, all my life I just never even knew that was something that I could be a part of, let alone that there was this whole like community catered to people that fit that specific niche. And so seeing that in any like demographic, like for instance, one of my favorite things that's within the queer community is that I saw this post. It's like, remember the first time you saw someone being open and gay, and how that gave you permission to be yourself, like seeing someone else like that. So it's like seeing yourself in a setting and seeing someone that looks like you and shares your values and is part of your demographics, it really changes your life.
Yeah.
Like even if it's just for a split moment, like I can't tell you how many stories I've heard of people that are now like so successful, but it all started because they saw someone that looked like them. And at the time, like, you know, way back when, like seeing someone that looked like yourself, seeing someone that was in a minority group and was successful and was like seen like widely ingested by like all across the nation, like was really rare. And so it was a 1 in a million experience. But the second you saw that person, the second you saw those Naomi Campbells, you saw the Alvin Aileys, you saw the Beyoncés, you know, you saw people that were using the narrative that society gave them and created their own narrative. It showed young people that, hey, like, this can be you. You don't have to subscribe to someone else's story. You write your own story. You can invent and create the life that you want. It doesn't have to be the life that you only know and see in your environment. In Black communities especially, like living in impoverished environments. So I was born in Braddock, Pennsylvania. Very impoverished. I think there was maybe like 1,000 people in that whole town. And then it wasn't until I even like moved that I knew that there was anything different. When I was 8, I moved from there to California for the first time, and I was like, this is Narnia. I was like, this is literally, this is an entirely different universe. I was like, it was like, why do the trees look like this? And why is everyone happy? Like, you know, why is it so hot? And it made me think, like, I got to experience that at such a young age and know for myself, see firsthand, there was something so much more than my environment. There was more than growing up to be in a gang, to sell drugs, and to be a part of that lifestyle. That there was so much more to that, because that's what I knew in my neighborhood. Like everyone. Lots of gang violence. It's just lots of things that I knew that I didn't fit into, but I didn't see anything but that until moving out here and seeing representation, truly, because it's like, if they can make it, how come I can't? I'm just as dark as they are. I'm just as queer as they are, and look at how they're doing. Like, what's stopping me? I think even a scale as like small as like even Cypress College, like I think that people seeing like an Asian woman.
Oh, me?
Oh, yes, we're on you. Like seeing someone that looks like you, having your color and having your background and killing it on stage, and seriously talented, like genuinely like an astounding dancer, and seeing that and knowing that that is something that's within their reach. We don't think about it, but it happens. People come to our concerts and our shows, whatever, and they leave and they're like, wow, there's a whole world that is potentially waiting for me to be a part of it. Yeah. You know, and it just takes seeing someone that's not a cookie cutter type of, you know what I mean? Like that doesn't fit necessarily like a Eurocentric aesthetic. There's so much power And it rewrites so many stories. I mean, of course I had dreams, but I was like, I'm never gonna get out of this stupid town. I'm probably gonna like have to fake being in a relationship with a woman. I'm probably gonna have to get drunk enough to have kids with her, and like, you know, like I just saw like this whole life laid out ahead of me that wasn't my truth and wasn't a life that I felt was worth living. And all it takes is just one chance encounter, one little shift to change your whole life.
Yeah.
It takes just seeing someone, or someone in the crowd seeing you. A La La Land reference. And just throwing it out there. Catch it if you want it, throw it back if you don't. Am I allowed to eat?
Yeah, go ahead. Please. Sorry. He's eating acai.
I have an acai bowl.
So as you were talking about that, it reminded me of the hate you give. It basically centers around racism and police brutality and how that all ties in, because nowadays you see cops, they don't really know someone's background, they don't know someone's story, they just see a color on a face and already come up with their own solution, or not solution, assumption of who that person is without having to know who they are, what they do, you know, where they came from. Actually, the scene that I'm talking about, that's kind of going viral of Amanda Seymour and Sabrina Carpenter.
Sabrina Carpenter's in that movie?
Yes.
No way.
She plays one of her best friends. It's so good.
I need to get on this.
Sabrina Carpenter is fantastic. I loved you in Girl Meets World. But her in The Hate You Give, I was like, dang, this girl just like stepped it up. Sabrina Carpenter saying like, well, he was a criminal. He was selling drugs. Like, X amount of things about his past. And Amanda Seymour's like, he's my friend. I know who he is. He's not that kind of person. But also, in the community where I grow up, this is all we know. This is the only thing and none of them, hardly ever of them have like the finances or the privilege to get out of this community. And so the fact that she does, she realizes that's a privilege, but not many people do, that she goes to school with. So the scene, I don't know if you guys have seen the scene with her like saying he was grabbing a hairbrush, and so she's like, well, it was a weapon. And then he was like, why? Because he was black. And then Amanda Seymour grabs Sabrina Carpenter's hairbrush. It's like, oh, and she starts swinging it at her. Have you seen that scene? It's everyone on Instagram. Everyone's like, this scene. But she starts swinging it, and she's like, how about now? Is it a weapon now in my hands? And all this stuff. And I was just like, oh, she's really getting it. She's really getting it. Some people cannot physically go out to see that there's more to the world than what's happening within their own neighborhood. Vice versa.
Right.
Sometimes people who are living this really nice, fancy, privileged area, that's all they know is just the privilege that they have. They don't see anything else.
I think in a lot of these communities, like why there's such a strong populace that does sell like illicit substances and stuff like that is because for so many of like people there, like that's their only way of acquiring income. You're in this community, and structurally, because of how it's set up, there's only so much money that you can make. The most amount of money that you can make within the confines of this space is very limited, and it doesn't leave a lot of room for climb. It's just within the confines of like that, of doing everything like the cut and clean way. It's incredibly limiting, and it's like financially, like there's no chance of ever stepping outside where you stand financially. And so a lot of people turn to selling illicit substances, yada yada yada, because that's their only way of even the possibility of climbing outside of that. It's like you're born into the system, into the structure that is really confined, and you're told from the get-go, like, this is probably the most amount of money you're ever going to make in your life. Good luck. Given that, like, the chances of you even trying to make a better life for yourself is next to nothing. And your only options are to literally break the law to create a better life for you and your loved ones. So it's like, from jump, like, the system is against you.
Systematic racism, it's real.
You're trying to play a game that you know you can't win, and every move you make is also serving the opposing person. It's like having that be your reality every day is trying, to say the least. And me and living in my small town and seeing it firsthand, you just operate on such a different wavelength. Being in Braddock versus coming here, like, at, like, just everything, the air, the streets, the interactions with people, everything is just so, it's the difference is day and night, truly. And I'm one of the very few lucky ones that made it out by some miracle. Like I know so many people that are still there. Seeing that and knowing what I felt my options were at the time, and seeing that they're still there. Change just needs to come soon.
Yeah.
Like, the system is whack as heck. Mm-hmm. There's so much to be said, but like so much that there's not to be said. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's such a time right now too. Mm-hmm. And I think that the fuse that was lit by George Floyd's murder, really, like, his dying moments recorded on tape for the world to see. Yeah. First of all, how insanely invasive. You know what I mean? Like the fact that it took for you to literally see the breath like come like flying out of someone's lungs. Yeah. Like for it to spark this, like why did it have to take all of this and like years and years of this? But I think now that, like, with COVID shutting things down and everything, like, it just, the timing of it all, it just somehow just aligned in such a way that it just, everything just boiled over. And I think it's incredibly necessary. Personally, it's been really disheartening because for myself and many other people in the Black community, it's like from the day that you're born, you basically are aware of this. In the back of your head, you know that because of the color of your skin, people are going to treat you differently. People are going to look at you differently. People are going to see your life as of less value than theirs. Was that something that, like, someone verbally told you, or is it just something you experienced? It's something I experienced. Really? It's something that you just feel it. Really? Yeah, really. And of course, like, I've had older Black adults like sit me down and like tell me this and stuff like that. Especially living in the community that I did. There's no delusions that you can escape to or hide behind. It's just a fact. Knowing that, and now having, through like the explosion of the Black Lives Matter movement within these past few weeks, that fact is everywhere you look. Anytime you're on Twitter, every time you're on Instagram, like, that fact is like thrown in your face over and over and over again. Rightfully so. It's kind of weird to see in history, is historically like the biggest like civil rights movement like ever in the world. Yeah. Like legitimately, like there, I don't think collectively there have been as many voices like really rallying for Black lives, and it's encouraging, and there's so much hope in it. But it's also like, this is the fight that we were born into, that we didn't choose, that we shouldn't have to convince people that we should be alive. We shouldn't have to convince people that, hey, we're human too, we bleed the same color as you. Right. Like, our lives and our dreams and our desires and our hopes and our gifts and the things that make us laugh, things that make us cry are just as valid for us as they are for you.